Welcome to my Hebrew channel, Millo, and today I'm looking at the word Millo. Millo means filled in tower. If we begin with it as a verb, it means to fill in. This is the verb here, Millo, to fill something in, to fill it up, fill it in. And this is once you've filled up a building. And the way this is done, you just take a whole lot of rocks and just start piling it up. Basically the same way the Mayas built their pyramids. It's a labor-intensive effort to stack all those rocks, and then once you have a big pile, you can put something on top of it, say a small fortress or something on top of it. So it's a very labor-intensive and would be. Incidentally, the tower that's in the middle of Jericho is somewhat built like this. It's all round river rock. And the Bible doesn't call the Tower of Jericho Millo. In fact, that tower was built even before the Bible writers were talking about Jericho. In Jericho, everything's from that tower outward is built of adobe, mud brick. So, but here we have the Millo. Okay, this is the central structure, and that would be the citadel, the fortress where you would head for if you had trouble, and you'd find refuge in it. So that's very symbolic, and let's get on to the study of the Millo. Starting out as a verb, and this is how we helps us understand when it comes to us as a noun, and then one called to the other. This is the seraphim that Isaiah saw in his vision when he saw the Lord, face to face. And then one called to the other, Holy, holy is the Jehovah of hosts, his glory fills the whole earth. V'yikra ze al ze v'amar, Kadosh, 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 Yehovah Shebaot, Me'elo kol ha'aretz kevodo, fills the whole earth with his glory. So, Me'elo Kol ha'aretz kevedo, with his glory. The whole earth is filled with his glory. Millo, to fill. We begin in the book of Judges a couple of times. I think I'm going to pick one of them out this time. All the leaders of Shechem, that's up here. This was the key city that when Abraham came for the very first time into the Promised Land, he arrived at Shechem. And so, incidentally, Shechem has sort of a special spot in terms of its relationship with the people of Israel. So, although at one point it didn't destroy the whole thing, all the leaders or murdered everybody in there. All the leaders of Shechem came together, and all of Beth Millo, and they went and made Abimelech king by the oak of the pillar at Shechem. When Abimelech, now Gideon had many sons, 70 of them, and this individual rounded them all up, murdered all of them except one got away. Jotham got away. But now the leaders of Shechem, he was related to these people, and so they had, we got some special relationship with Abimelech. Abimelech means my father's the king, and in reference to, he wanted to, if you appoint Gideon as the king, Gideon had another name, Jerubbaal, but if you name him as king, then of course, then I would follow as the king. So Abimelech, he's my father's the king. So all the leaders of Shechem came together in all of Bet Millo, Shafu, and this is, and they gathered all together. Yashaf, this is same as Joseph, Jashaf, together. Also Asaph is one of the groupings, the family groupings that would pull together songs or psalms. V'yashafu kol Baalei, all of the Baals, that's the leaders. Baal, of course, isn't just simply a Baal as an idol, but also leadership, okay? Baalei, even today it's a husband, Baalei. Baalei Shechem, of Shechem. Kol Beit, all of the house. Millo, of Millo, okay? Now, it's apparent that this is, Shechem is the city, and Beit Millo would be the citadel or the tower part of it. So basically, we have to think of it as the same place. Okay, Shechem, Beit Millo. Kol Beit Millo, house of Millo. Yelaku, and they came or they went.
Uh, Malechu, and then they made as a king. This is the verbal form of malach, melech. Ve'yalamachu et Abimelech. Uh, my father is the king. Abimelech. Lamelech as a king. Im beside Elon. This is the oak. Okay. Mushav, and of the pillar. Mushav is the memorial pillar, the things that bring back memories of, and it's also known as Mashabot or Mashavah, but this is Mushav. Again, this is the pillar, memorial pillar. Asher, which is Bet Shechem, which is in Shechem. Okay, and so you have Shechem at the start here, Shechem at the end here. It's as a Sigolo, the accenting is Milra. Okay, here we go. Shechem. Okay, in Shechem. And then, now this is after they've conquered the city of David, or the Jebusite city, and it's this bottom part here at the lower. It's the lower rocky spur that's there. Room for about 6,000 or 7,000 people to live on it. So if you got a small population, fine. Once the population increases, you have to start adding territory, and especially if you want to build a temple, you're going to have to go out and buy a threshing floor from one of the local Hittites. So then David lived in the fortress. Okay, David Bet Meshudah. This fortress, it's called the city of David. The entire rocky spur here was known as a Mashudah, as a fortress, very similar to Masada, very similar to some of the. It's very well protected. You're going to feel safe there. It has a lot of natural protection. So that's what made it such a strong defensive point. So David lived in the fortress called the city of David, and David built all around from Millo and towards the house. Veyashev, this is, and he lived. Yashav is the root here. David be Masuda, in the fortress. Vekrahla, and he called it Ir David, city of David. This prefix, or the suffix pronoun here, is feminine, and because Ir is feminine. Okay. Often place names of cities and countries and so forth were in the feminine. They're the mother of their inhabitants, so that's often why the explanation of why Ir would be feminine. Okay. Lach Ir David Veyaben, and then he built, and David built. And this is David again, David. Yaben Shaviv, all around, okay, a whole surrounding area. Men Hamilo Betach, and then towards his house. Now, apparently there was a separate house here, and some of the archaeologists claim they found it because of some of the seals. When you go there, they're kind of trying to point out to you where that it's there. Incidentally, Millo is still there. You can go and visit the place. When you take this, when you go into the area that's known as Museum City of David, just simply walk down. They have a really nice staircase nowadays. You just walk on down along the front of the escarpment here, and then you get a nice side view of Millo. And you can go up into the edge of it and take a picture of it from the top. So it's still there. Still can be visited to this day. Now David built from Millo on out towards the house. In other words, he was building up close, and he was reinforcing. When he took over the city, the Jebusites, of course, had a lot of stuff there, and David added on to it. So he built all around. Shaviv is the surrounding area. Min HaMilo, from the Millo, Beitach. This is house towards his house. It's a bayit with a directional hay on the end of it here, and sort of the direction of where the construction took place. And he built the city all around, again the Shaviv, from the Millo in a complete circuit around, it was a sequence. And then Joab, this incidentally is the same description of what we saw in the previous verse, but here we're in Chronicles, so a little bit more detail as to what happened here. He built the city all around from the Millo in a complete circuit, and Joab repaired the rest of the city. Joab was the guy who had
crawled up the Sinor and gone into the city and opened the gates so all the other Judean soldiers could come in and take over the Jebusite city. So Vayaven, and he built, he constructed. Root here is Bana. This, incidentally, the hay that's on the end of this root here is almost always assimilated. So Vayaven, he constructed Ha'ir, the city. Mishaviv, all around, okay, in a circuit. Shaviv is surrounding. Minha Millo, from the Millo, okay, so it's going all around. In other words, probably, yeah, in the left-hand circuit there, although it could have been right-hand. I'm not going to say which is which here, but either way. Minha Millo, Ve'ad Hashaviv, and you have Mishaviv and Ad Hashaviv, so you got from around, and then you have towards the around. Okay, so it's both the same words here. Shaviv. This one is with preposition in front. This one has an article in the front. So Hashaviv, that surrounds, the thing that surrounds, the surrounding thing. Ad Hashaviv, Yoav, and Joav, his general, strong, tough guy among David's troops. Yechye, to him it was, Et Sar Ha'ir, and then that was the rest, what was still left over of the city. So David took care of the key points, and Joab took care of what was left over after doing the principal parts of the repairs or the restructuring there. And now we get over to King Solomon, and this time around I have a full-out map of the area of the countryside here. This is the account of the forced labor, the Hamas. Sounds the same like Hamas even today. Okay, Hamas. Forced labor that King Solomon, Melech Shlomo, drafted to build the house of Jehovah and his own house and the Millo and the wall of Jerusalem and Hatzor and Megiddo and Gezer. Okay, so whole list of. Incidentally, this particular list here, Jerusalem, Hatzor, Megiddo, and Gezer, served as a guide for some of the archaeologists to go looking for the 6 chambered gates at Gezer and at Megiddo and at Hatzor, and they found them. I mean, kind of interesting thing to use the Bible as a guide for your archaeology. They found the 6 chambered gates which were built as entryways to Gezer, Megiddo, and Hatzor. The Gezer still, all of it's still there. Megiddo, half of it's there. Hatzor, they had to move it across to one side in order to see it. But if you know what you're looking for, you can still find some of the reconstruction work that Solomon did in his day. So Zeh Deborah Hamatz, this is the account. This is the account, yeah. The words of Debar is to speak or to do something. And Zeh Debar Hamatz, of the work, the forced labor. Asher Ha'aleh, that was lifted up, brought up, okay? That was lifted up, Ha'aleh, caused to be lifted up. Hamelech, the king, Shlomo, King Solomon, Lebanot, in order to construct, and this is a lamed of purpose, preposition purpose in front of the word bana, to build something, you have a construct, infinitive here then. Lebanot, to build. Et Beit, the house, Yehovah, of Jehovah, that's the temple here in Jerusalem. Ve'et Beito, and his house, his own house, when he lived in the palace then. Ve'et HaMilo, and then that's, if you go from where that was down towards the original spot that David had taken over, where David's house originally had been, close to that, that's the Millo. That's down on the previous map. You can see where that would be. At Millo, Ve'et Hamot, and the wall, okay? So this is a Homa would be the absolute form. Hamot is the construct form of wall. Okay, Hamat, Yerushalayim, the Hamat, Yerushalayim, wall of Jerusalem. Ve'et Hatzor, way up here. You go up. It was the largest city of that area with Sisera as the king. It was basically the leader. It was the leading city, capital city of and it was destroyed by Joshua. In fact, the destruction layers are visible at Hatzor
when this was taken over via Joshua. So you got Hatzor, means patio or area. Beit Megiddo, and this is Megiddo. This is in the same place that we have Armageddon, Armageddon, same place, Megiddo. This is also a very prominent ruin. It was incidentally excavated very extensive by the Germans between the first and in the 20th century. So so a lot has been discovered, but a lot has been removed as well. So Megiddo and at Gezer. Gezer is over here. Gezer for many years just lay in ruins and nobody's doing much about it, but I've seen that now they have established it as a park worth the visit. Nice walk down to a water source, and the gate is still visible there. So very much a place that's worth it. Plus lots of mashabot, standing stones. This is a very ancient city. Some of the very, very earliest Hebrew letter, or even Canaanite, we'll call them, better call it Canaanite letters, was found as a boundary stone and even as a calendar here, the Gezer calendar. In other words, it was basically a list of the crops in sequence that were be found at the Gezer calendar, also well-known piece of inscription. So basically Canaanite lettering. And so, yeah, he built these places, and this was the work that King Solomon did. This forced labor, unfortunately, brought in a lot of unrest among the people, and that's why his son Rehoboam really was not able to stick on, because it was just too tough on the people. Solomon, incidentally, had a very interesting relationship with Millo as well. But Pharaoh's daughter went up from the city of David to her own house that Solomon had built for her, and then he built the Millo. Okay, so we'll get into positioning of this. Incidentally, here archaeology is a big, big help, because the Jewish people recognized that Pharaoh's daughter wasn't exactly kosher. So if she wanted to build something, she wanted to have something, it had to be a house that was basically outside of the city. And the way this was resolved was putting it up on the Mount of Gethsemane over here on across the Kidron. And so if you go up there, and even to this day, you can walk through there and you can see evidence of the Egyptian presence. The edging, look for the edging of the tombs that were put up there, very much with a pyramid structure of very, very, very indicative of the Egyptian presence up there. So, but Pharaoh's daughter went up from the city of David to her own house. This house, by the way, wasn't just a house, it was also a place for worship to her gods, and it was an embassy for Egypt. So if you wanted something to be done with Pharaoh, you'd go talk to his daughter over there at her place up there on the other side of the Kidron, and that's where you could maintain your diplomatic presence in this place. And that's how Solomon maintained his diplomacy as well through the wives that he married. He married a whole lot of them. He had a lot of diplomacy to carry out. So Pharaoh's daughter went up from the city of David to her own house. Solomon built for her Ak, and then at that point, certainly, Bat Pharaon, the daughter of Pharaoh, Alta went up. Okay, Alat is a feminine form of Allah, to go up. Meir from the city, David, El Beitach, to her house. Okay, this is a suffix pronoun of her house, possessive pronoun here. El Beitach. Asher, Banak, that she had built, or he had built. Lach, to her. Now this is looks like feminine. It's not. It's actually the full out root of Banak, to Beit Nun Hey, and then the person who built this then is Solomon. Okay, where'd Solomon go here? Okay, here's Solomon. Oh, they didn't put it in here, but we understand who built it here. Okay, Al Beitach Asher Banah Lach, he built for her. Az Banach, and then he also built Et HaMilo. He also built the Millo. The Millo was there. In other words, this would be better understood as a reconstruction, as rebuilding or building it up again. So maybe increasing the height, increasing the circumference or the size of it. But these are both third person masculine roots, because the he is not the feminine here. It's actually part of the root. So full out root here again, masculine singular root of to build. Okay? And then he built for her, and then he built also the Millo. Now we're moving on in history a little bit. We get on to Joash, and of course, towards the as time went on, you had good kings and evil kings, and at some points, the servants and so had it in for the king. They were just so bad. Okay, let's get rid of them. So this is what happened to Joash. So his servants arose and they made a conspiracy. And they struck down Joash in the house of Millo. Okay, here's Millo, on the way that goes down to Zillah. Okay. Zillah, it's hard to identify. There's really no specific place for it. But if you see Zillah like this, and you're reading the Psalms, you know right away that Zillah is to pause. Okay, so it's a resting spot. So Zillah, stop. Okay, here's where you stop, stopping point. Okay, so and Vayakumu, and then they lifted up. They arose. Okay, Yakumu, kum is the lift up. And then this is a reflexive form then of the kibbutz here. Yakumu, and then they arose. They rose up in rebellion. Avadav, his servants. Yik Shuru, and they got together, made a conspiracy. Katzer, they conspired a conspiracy. Okay? This is a verb here, noun here. Okay, Yaksuru Katzer. And then they conspired a conspiracy. Yaku, and then they struck a kaf, to strike. Incidentally, this does have what I call an ancient root to it. Okay, the kaf is the palm of the hand. Okay, and then they took the palm of the hand, boom, smote him with it. Okay, they struck him. Yaku. At Joash, okay, Joash, this is Jehovah. I haven't studied this so much, but we can get to it later. Joash Beit Millo, in the house of Millo over here, right? Now, makes some sense if Joash is understanding that his servants have it in for him. Well, find a safe spot to hide out at the Millo. Okay? It's a cone of rock, and you got something on top you can hide out in. But of course, you might think yourself safe, but if your servants have it in for you, you've just trapped yourself, basically. So at Joash Beit Millo, in the house of Millo, and Yared, that goes on down, and then from there on down, Zillah. In other words, there was a Zillah. I have it on the map here. This is a guess, approximation, somewhere out there in the Kidron Valley, the resting place. Now, this also would make us understand, or allow us to understand, that Joash is probably giving some thought to clearing out, to running for it, because this is the way you would go. David, when he had to leave with Absalom, went down here and over into the Kidron and over the top of the Mount of Gethsemane on his way out to Jericho. So this is basically a flight path. If you're going to leave town quickly, get to the edge of town, because from there you just run down into the valley and on your way. So Zillah, the resting place, is there in the bottom of this particular valley of the Kedron. And we get back to the verbal form of Millo, and here it is, Millo. And one called to the other, one of the seraphims called to the other seraphim, Holy, holy, holy is Jehovah of hosts. His glory fills the whole earth. Ve'kara ze azeh va'amar kadosh, 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 Yehovah Shebaot, Melo kol haaretz kevdo. And the glory, his glory, this is kevdo. His glory, his weight, his power, his majesty, kevdo. Kavod is something that you respect. It's used also for respecting elders.
and his glory. Kipto Millo filled it's filled the entire earth. The glory of the Lord fills the earth. Are we going to fill our life with the rocks of Millo and hope that will protect us? Doesn't work. Didn't work for Joash. Fill our lives with the glory of Jehovah. Yeah, let the light of Jehovah shine in your heart today, and live a life of obedience to Him. He's the one that will care for you and protect you in whatever dangers you are facing. So may God bless, may God strengthen you in this day. Until the next time.